After episode 116 of Occult, viewers have been wondering about the abrupt ending to the series. So I made this video to explain the situation, as well as to tell you the rest of the story as it would most likely have unfolded if it had continued. If you're only interested in the latter, use the timestamp in the video description to fast forward to that part. First of all, no, the story of Occult was not supposed to end with episode 116. I simply quit, or cancelled the show, if you will. The final episode was released only a few weeks after the announcement of Electronic Arts, The Sims 4's publisher, being bought out by some questionable companies, making it seem like that had something to do with it. But the timing is actually just a coincidence, since my decision was made long before that unfortunate turn of events. On the off chance that somebody might be expecting a statement from me on this topic, I don't support the buyout. It has caused me a lot of distress and worries about the future of both the Sims and Mass Effect franchises, and I applaud big YouTube creators who are making their dissatisfaction known by boycotting the Sims, no longer purchasing new packs or making videos about them, and even deleting their old videos. Lil Simsy, the creator of many of the buildings seen on Occult, and arguably the most influential Sims YouTuber ever, went as far as to work with US politicians to try and stop the buyout. I'll link her petition down in the description in case you want to sign it as well. As for me, while I'm not purchasing any new packs either, I am way too small and unknown as a creator to make any meaningful impact by threatening to cancel a series that barely anyone watches, a series that I've been making for its own sake no less, not to promote The Sims, so the buyout alone wouldn't have been enough to make me stop. It's more like another nail in the coffin. The real reason is a mix of technical issues and a lack of time, considering that working on Occult is neither a paying job nor my only creative endeavour. It started out as a fun project originally not even meant for YouTube. That's one reason why the earlier episodes are a bit wackier than what came later. But since the end of 2024, I've been facing increasing difficulties with my video editing software, as well as text-to-speech sites shutting down, making character voices harder and harder to come by. If you ever notice some voices sounding a little different from episode to episode, especially Loki's and Elise's, then the reason is most likely that I had to get them from different sources than usual. EA's monthly game-breaking patches for The Sims 4 didn't help, and all of it resulted in turning Occult from a hobby into a chore. Speaking of hobbies, as some of you may know, I'm a writer of fantasy novels, something I had been neglecting due to Occult taking up too much of my free time. A single episode is just 20 minutes long, but takes about 20 hours to film and edit. And that's not counting the additional time required for writing and voicing the script, building the backdrops, working around the Sims game's buggy shenanigans, creating and translating subtitles for YouTube, and dealing with the occasional writer's block. It's a lot of hard work. And given that the fandom consisted of maybe 10 people at the best of times, most of whom never left comments or made their interest known in any other way, there was no motivation for me to keep tormenting myself. I don't blame people who would rather watch AI videos that are probably easier to make and much better looking than anything I could ever create with The Sims, because as I said, I was doing this mainly for fun until it wasn't fun anymore. But I can't deny also being frustrated at how little attention it garnered and feeling that no one would really miss it if it just disappeared one day. So how would the story have continued without all these obstacles? Truth be told, we were almost at the end, so I'll get into a few plot points and character arcs I had planned for the final episodes of Occult. As you've seen, former CIA agent Iliam Miel and occult-hating journalist Gillian Chopra tried to recruit Prudence for their crusade against the Mum Meanies, threatening to reveal her role in Olga Strankova's death in case she refused. Having left her former life as a witch hunter behind, and no longer fearing earthly punishment after being sent to literal hell, Prudence refused anyway, instead becoming an ally to the occults. There may or may not have been a little romance between her and Lord Henford after his rescue from Lorenzo's apartment, confirming fortune teller Faye's words from 20 years ago that Prudence may find love once she stops clinging to the toxic beliefs she grew up with. Keeping in with the romantic theme, Nate and Esper's wedding was set to take place in episode 118 and would have served as a conclusion to those characters' stories, not least because I was losing access to Nate's voice. In other news, Leviathan returns alive, but as a teenager with no memories of his adult years, because that's what he was when his father bound him to the Azrael doll. This puts a heavy strain on his relationship with Tiamo and Tiamo's mental health as a whole, leading him to accept Wilbica's solution of using the black candle to turn off his emotions. Now, completely devoid of empathy, the Mummini children turn evil to a degree that even Aya disapproves of, with Wilbica plotting to murder Finn's girlfriend Shireen and Tiamo sleeping with a consenting but still underage Leviathan, among other things. So their mother destroys the black candle to restore their personalities. Sooner or later, they also find a way to restore Leviathan's adult memories with the Nitalite Lorenzo put them in, taking care of Tiamo's major grievance, and Wilbica and Finn get together eventually. Speaking of Lorenzo, he had been sending his family on a treasure hunt for artifacts representing the 13 branches of magic. After traveling to space to find the alien crystal clandestine representing telekinesis and accidentally trapping Bitch in a black hole for a little while, it is revealed that the artifacts representing clairvoyance and creation were in the Mummini's possession all along, in the form of Aya's golden sugar skull and Loki's key necklace, respectively. This means that the treasure hunt is officially over, and Lorenzo has all the necessary ingredients for his ritual that he thinks will make the world a better place by repairing the magic realm and killing the ageless sage. If you thought Lorenzo was the main villain all along, think again. Unbeknownst to pretty much everyone, that title actually goes to Mother Moon, the angel most occults worship in some way, and the founder of the Children of the Sun. That's why the witch hunters' former hideout, Shadow Vale, had a church dedicated to worshipping her even before the vampires moved in, and why the hunters knew how to use lethal moon barriers against intruders. Having grown tired of her existence as an immortal angel, Mother Moon has been planning to destroy all magic, even if it means destroying the Earth along with it. She has appeared in person several times throughout the series without her true identity being revealed, first as High Priestess Seraphine at the time of the 13 Witches, then as Moon News chief editor Diana Knox in the present, and the whispering voice in the Selvadoradian jungle belongs to her as well. She was the threat Madre Cosecha desperately and violently tried to protect the world from, using a variation of the Lord's Prayer to keep her in check. And by killing the seemingly evil Madre Cosecha, the Mummionis inadvertently facilitated Mother Moon's plans to destroy the world through the calamity. Right in time for the finale, Bitch uses information gathered in the black hole to transfer her soul back into the body of the High Witch of Time Manipulation, and her powers return as well, but not her memory of how to use them properly. In a final plot twist, Bitch's usage of her time-breaking power to stop Lorenzo's ritual ends up causing the calamity, although it's strongly implied that, had Lorenzo gone through with the ritual, then that would have caused the calamity instead, because Mother Moon had arranged for it to happen one way or another. As revealed in episode 110, however, this was not actually Lorenzo's plan. He truly believed that his ritual would fix the world, so despite his flaws and manipulations and some twisted ideas, he was ultimately a good guy trying to do what he thought was the right thing. As for how everything would have ended, I'm not sure, honestly. Possible scenarios include the ageless sage sacrificing himself to stop the calamity, Tiamo, Wilbica and Bitch preventing it through time travel after witnessing Aya's death, the other angels restoring order by annihilating Mother Moon, or the characters just continuing to live in the post-calamity world, but with more hope of fixing it eventually than they had in the possible future glimpsed early in the series. It probably would have been a mixture of all these things, but in any case, it's highly likely that adult Loki wouldn't have survived, because keeping two versions of him around would have gotten awkward after a while. No other major character deaths were planned, but I probably would have thought of some along the way, since I still had to deal with the threat of Mercury's vampire revolution, as well as the rest of Garm's wolfpack in Oasis Springs. Let me end this video with a few fun facts about Occult that you probably didn't know. Going back to my comment about the wackier nature of earlier episodes, you can see some of that in the character of Serena Kailani, who in her very first appearance had just been arrested for trying to poison the groundwater with an anti-Y chromosome chemical. She was originally envisioned as a parody of hardcore man-hating feminists, a comically over-the-top villain named Beverly, who would return every 10 episodes or so with a new ridiculous plan to get rid of all men. In that scenario, Beryl was actually a boy that Beverly forced to live as a girl because she didn't want any male relatives, and they were indeed siblings, not mother and child. Only when the flashbacks to Stell Maria's school days required a friendly face, I decided to give that part to Beverly, making her a more serious character with her own tragic backstory and legitimate reasons for her extremist views. That's also when she became a mermaid, and as a subtle hint at that, I renamed her Serena, which was originally Esper's first name. And the plot twist regarding Beryl's gender was also discarded, in case you were wondering. There would have been a similar twist, however, with Garm's other henchman besides Cosmo, the silent one. He is actually a woman named Ira. This would have been revealed in a later episode, where she suddenly starts speaking in a very high and soft feminine voice, contrasting with her big muscular build and completely throwing everyone off. Ira was also one of the few characters created specifically for a cult, whereas most others you see on the show are just actors, if you will, regular Sims I play with occasionally when I'm not shooting footage. And speaking of actors, my previous YouTube series, Croft Meets Archer, was mentioned in episode 3 as a TV show within a cult that Wilbecker watched when she was younger. There were plans to reveal that Judith used to be on that show, playing the character Fumble. She would have talked about how easy it was to get the part, since the casting director was specifically looking for talking cats with magic powers, and who would have guessed she was the only one around. But in the end, Judith didn't recur as often as I had planned, because working with just one animal actor was annoying enough, and I never managed to write a fitting scene for that conversation to take place in, so it had to be cut. I still consider it canon, though. The next fun fact is probably the most obvious. All the criminal organizations in a cult are named after video game companies. Aya Mumini's Evil Alliance is Electronic Arts, or EA for short, publisher of The Sims. Crabcorn is Capcom, Diamond Phoenix is Square Enix, Haughty Cat is Naughty Dog, and Ibihard is Ubisoft. I didn't do this because I think those companies are evil. Well, except EA maybe. But I do have my complaints about them, and if you want to know what they are, just carefully listen to Aya's rants about her rivals, for example in episode 101. Crabcorn was supposed to play a bigger role later in the series, with Bobo, the Japanese witch hunter, being revealed as their boss in disguise. But his characterization quickly went all over the place until I didn't know what to do with him anymore, so I dropped that idea. Also, I only learned much later, when I started learning Japanese myself, that Bobo is a slang word for, a certain bodily orifice that babies come out of, and therefore unlikely to ever be used as a name for a Japanese man. But hey, if you find that funny and not offensive, feel free to think I did it on purpose. And that's a wrap! Even though there won't be any more New Occult episodes, the ones that have already been released aren't going anywhere, unless YouTube forces me to take them down for copyright reasons or something like that, so feel free to rewatch them as often as you wish. Goodbye.